guys, welcome back to another episode of Diving In Deep, the podcast. I'm Sara Evans, and today's episode is so cool because I brought back my manager, Craig Dunn, because we have so much history together, and he's been on an episode before, but 1 hour is not nearly enough time to talk about everything that we've been through together. So you're really, really going to love this conversation, and we go pretty deep into what it's like being a manager and what it's like being an artist, and how those two relationships sometimes collide, and how it all works behind the scenes. So enjoy this episode and welcome my manager, Craig Dunn. So everybody always wants to know what it's like in the music industry and in the entertainment industry in general, like in Hollywood, and what it's like to be an artist and to have this whole team behind you, to have a manager. And I just thought it'd be fun today to come on here and talk more. You've already been on an episode, but that episode was mostly talking about the tragic time when I was on Dancing with the Stars. And we got into a little bit of how you became my manager, but we didn't really go into depth about that because we focused more on
the trauma bond.
The trauma bond that we had and all the crap that happened to you in LA. And if you haven't seen that episode, go back and watch it because it's such a great story. But I think it's so fascinating. If I were an aspiring artist, I would be fascinated to hear me sit down with my manager and talk about what it's really like in the music industry, and also some of the stories, that we have to tell about being on the road. Because you started selling merchandise for me on the road and worked your way up to being a big time manager. And so that's almost equivalent in my mind as making it as an artist, but you made it in the music industry, just in a different, part of it.
Yeah.
And so everybody, this is Craig Dunn, my manager. And I also want to talk about what it's like to be a manager, and because you oversee everything. So it's like, there's me at the top as the artist, then there's you, and then there's all these different aspects of the career. There's the booking agency, the business manager, the tour manager, the band, the crew, publicist, everything. And so you have your hand in every single conversation that happens. And then also, because of our relationship, even though you do have people that work for you, and Nicole is what you would call probably my point person with your management company, because we're so close, we kind of talk about everything.
It'd be hard not to, after this many years.
Right.
Like on one hand, I want to empower Nicole and give her more stuff, but that it's hard to not be in the middle of the conversation. Because one, I don't want you to think that I'm not involved, which I am with everything, but
totally.
But also let her do her thing. She's great. And it's like that, finding that fine line.
My first question to you is, how do you not go insane? Because I always think about Craig Dunn is, and we always call you Craig Dunn because there was someone else in my life named Craig, and I wanted to differentiate. And so I started calling you Craig Dunn always. And now so many people call you Craig Dunn. Does everybody call you Craig Dunn?
Most people.
It's like a double name.
It's like a Southern double name, and I'm not from the South.
No, and that is your first and last name, but everybody calls you Craig Dunn. It's hilarious. But how do you, if I were you, I would literally sometimes want to vomit over talking about Sara Evans, looking at pictures of Sara Evans, dealing with things about Sara Evans, dealing with Sara Evans,
Yeah.
How do you keep from going insane?
Well, honestly, first and foremost, I'm a fan of you as an artist. Every time you sing or every time I hear your song, it's like the first time. I'm like, she is amazing.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that. Like, I truly...
It would be hard to manage someone that you didn't really think was great.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And I haven't, and I won't.
Right.
If I don't think you're great, I'm not going to work with you. But
Right.
like truly that's why, like that's the motivation. And I love watching fans see you live too, because I can see that with them and everyone's just like, oh my gosh, she's amazing.
And it feels like an accomplishment on your part as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy job. Management is hard
Yes.
job. It's, you know, like everyone thinks being an artist is super glamorous. It's not.
Right.
Being a manager is not super glamorous. Of course, there are fun moments and events we get to go to and meet celebrities, and there are fun things, but it's a lot of work and a lot of stress. And I think you and I share the most pressure of anybody on the team.
Right.
Because like you have all this stuff on your shoulders. I'm the artist. If I, you know, if I get sick and have to cancel a show, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
That sits on you. And same thing with me. You know, I have to keep everybody happy that works for you or is involved with you. I have to keep you happy, make sure you're not overworked, but still make sure you're working enough to keep the lights on.
Right.
You know, it's a tough, delicate balance.
Absolutely.
And, you know, I think I learned a lot from my parents, especially my dad, because he can be very stoic and he analyzes everything. He isn't one just to quickly respond and just say things. He's going to think it through before he, you know, says something. And I feel like I'm that way too when it comes to business, at least.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't want to just respond. I mean, I want to think about it for a minute and process it and make sure that. Which
is smart.
But it's hard, especially with you, because you're so quick and responding. I'm like, sometimes I want to come back more thoughtful than just quick, that I'm going to be like, I didn't say that right, or I missed this thing, you know?
Right.
And earlier you were talking about, you know, you're at the top and then me. I like to describe like an artist and manager in the career as a wheel, like a wagon wheel. And you're the actual wheel. You're everything.
Center.
And or the outside. Either it could flip either way.
Yeah.
Let's say you're the center. And then all the spokes are the publicist, the record label, the booking agent, the business manager. And I'm that other piece. So unless both of us are there, it all falls apart and it doesn't move forward.
Yes.
So we have to be so in sync and working as a team to keep that wheel going forward. But it's hard. I mean, you know, as a manager, you're always on, and we work Monday through, well, not just Monday through Friday, a lot of weekends too, but like normal hours, Monday through Friday. Then the artist is touring on the weekends a lot.
Right.
And so I have to be available when you're out there if something's wrong or you have questions, because you're in work mode on the weekend. Yeah. So it's hard to have just downtimes where it's not in your head all the time. You're constantly thinking, did I do that? Did I email that person? You know, what are we going to do here? Have I made sure the producer's set for the next project? Just there's constant stuff going on. And also try not to overwhelm you. Right. You know, because that's part of what we do is make sure that we're handling all these things so you don't have to, but also communicating so you know what's going on. Right. Which is a tough thing to balance too. You know, absolutely. Taking things off your plate, but
it's not like, if anybody watches Entourage on HBO, Hollywood's different because Hollywood mostly has an agent. My agent books me on the road, books my shows. My agent is at William Morris. You are my manager. So in music, especially country music, the manager is everything. It's almost like we're joined at the hip. And so even though I have a booking agent, you still are between the agent. You're between everybody and me. Yeah. So nobody gets to me without going through you. And so, like I said, I know it has to be a hard job. We both have really hard jobs, but a lot of times I feel sorry for managers. I feel sorry for managers, and I get frustrated with managers, as I'm sure managers get frustrated with artists too, because it's like, if you are taking care of everything, so when things go well, it's just kind of like, on to the next thing. Yeah. But if things mess up or they don't go well, you get all the blame. You get all the yelling, frustration, you know, stuff like that. So you have to be really, really confident in, you know I'm doing my best, and everybody who, you know, doesn't understand why this particular thing went wrong
Yeah.
or what happened.
And there's so many things that go on behind the scenes that you never see or know about, and
Right.
other people won't see and know about. And it's like, even if you do your best, there's so many just, I don't even know how to describe it, just random things that you can't control.
Uncontrollable. Yeah.
That can affect, and it's like a domino effect. And you're like, oh my gosh, this derailed this whole thing.
Yep.
We had everything perfectly lined up with a bow on the top, and
Yes.
this one little thing fell, and it all fell apart or got moved. And,
Yes.
and it's like, oh gosh.
Yes.
You know?
And as I've gotten, because I always say I'm two people. Like, I'm one person when it comes to who I am at home. I'm another person when it comes to who I am as an artist. And so, you know, I will get angry and be like, what the hell happened or why? But I also believe truly that you love me. Like, we love each other. So when there is a problem, I trust you. It's not like I'm like going, he's just a big time, you know, he's just one of those managers who's in a big group who doesn't give a shit about me personally. I know you care about me personally and my children. You know, you do a lot of things to help my children too, you know, that you never get paid for, and that you just do because you're like, we know how to do this. We can help. We can, you know. And so, you know, we have struck a really good balance of being friends and being manager client and being coworkers. And it's crazy because I always want you to defend me first. But then I also know too, which you do, but I also know too that you're in an industry. So you are in Nashville, Tennessee. You're in an industry where you have to be, because you're dealing with more clients than just me. So you want everybody at William Morris to say, I love working with Craig Dunn. But at the same time, sometimes you've got to be an asshole and be like, this is what Sara wants.
Yeah.
Without making me look bad. Like, it's just this.
It's a fine line.
Yes.
And it's a tough thing to figure out. And there are some managers that everybody hates and no one wants to work with. And like William Morris or places like that, there's certain times where they won't take on a client because of the manager.
Right.
You know, or there are times where they will take on a client that may not be ready yet for their, you know, services because they love the manager. So you've got to really be careful.
That's right.
With how you work that out. But going back to you and I and our dynamic, like, I've had an evolution over all these years of working together too, because when we first started working together in the management capacity, if you'd get upset about something, I would take it so personal, and it would just ruin my day for days, you know, because I care so much.
Right.
And now,
and you're a perfectionist.
Yes. And I was still learning, honestly, when I had a big background in the music business and had done a lot of different things and had managed a little bit here and there, just random stuff, but not you. And so when we first started working together, there was some learning stuff that had to happen really fast, like thrown in the deep end. But now it's not that I don't care if you get mad at me. It still like bothers me, but I think I just have better perspective about it. Like, I know why it's bothering you and what's going on. And the more I know about your life in general beyond this business thing, if you're stressed with something else happening, you're more likely to get stressed with work stuff. And
you're the only person you're the person that I'm going to say I'm upset to.
Yeah.
Who else am I going to get mad at or be upset with or whatever that this fell apart. But yeah, I you know, and mostly I think now that you know me better, like you said, you've had that learning curve and come to know me better. And also just, we all mature more every year.
Yeah.
And I think that, like you just said, you understand now really what's at the root of it. The root of it is me, my competitiveness, me feeling I don't like rejection. So if I'm not called to do something that a lot of other artists are getting called to do, it makes me angry. It hurts my feelings. We just went through something like that. I cried all the way home from the beach because I felt so rejected. But maybe 5 years ago, I would have blamed you for that or gotten mad at you for that. but now I understand that's just out of his control.
Yeah.
And I trust you enough to believe what you're saying.
And like that instance, without going into details exactly about what it was.
Right.
Like I had pitched you multiple times the second we knew about that event happening, followed up, you know, and so like those are the things you don't know that happen.
Right.
You know, and then it affects me too. Like that instance, you know, that I found out the day before I told you, and I didn't sleep that night because I was so mad because I knew it was going to upset you. I was mad at the situation.
Right. That's right.
You know?
And when you watch, what's the show I just said? Entourage?
Yeah.
You watch the actor and Ari, his agent, they kind of get to that point too where they'll fight and they'll just be like, not take it personally and just, you know, understand that like we're still working together. We're still in this together. And it's also just a really hard business to be in.
It is.
So, and it's a weird relationship to have.
Yeah.
Going back to you starting selling merch, and that probably had a lot to do with me meeting you and seeing you in one way, and then me having to learn to see you in another role.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
Yeah.
I always say that managers, to be a good manager, you have to be like a psychiatrist, you know, because if this was just a straight business, you know, relationship, we couldn't have some of the conversations that we have because both of us wouldn't put up with that. If it was just like an office 9 to 5,
right?
You know, you couldn't talk to your coworkers and express, but like, this is such a different, weird,
it's very personal
thing. And like, it's your life and you're traveling and leaving family. And like, there's just so much more to it.
Yes.
And you know, when I first started managing, if you get upset about something, I would take it personal, but my instinct then, which I've learned now not to do, it would just be diffuse the situation. Just make her happy. It's okay. We're fine. Now, like, I still don't want you to be upset, but I've learned and matured. It's like, I'm going to tell her what's going on, whether she likes it or not.
Right.
Because I'd never want to be just a yes man.
Right.
Because I've seen so many people that do that, and it's not good for the artist. It's not good for the career either.
Yeah, right.
You know, like, but I'm not just going to be like, this person said this about you. And I'm not going to ever say that, but I'm going to just tell you something like, hey, I don't think we should work with this person. Trust me, you know, whatever the instance is. But before I used to just like, oh, just fix it. Just placate it. Just calm her down. Don't like let her be mad for long. And I'm like, it's okay. She's allowed to be mad. This is her life. And if something upsets her, that's her right to feel that way.
Yeah.
So part of it is just letting you feel what you need to feel.
Yeah.
And
get it out.
Express it and get it out. And then
I tend to get over it too in a day or so.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times I'll come back with a, you know, either like, you know, I'm sorry I got upset, or I'm over it, or it's just, you know, it hurt my feelings, but because I understand that so many things are out of your control in this industry. Like, we'll get a call 2 days before, like, hey, can you go to Japan in 2 days?
Yeah.
And we've got to try to make everything work.
Yeah.
You've got to make a million phone calls to make sure everybody knows about it, is doing their job. And if I often feel sorry for you because let's just say, and you rarely do, but let's just say you ever let one ball drop or one little thing, you're the fall guy.
Yeah.
You're the fall guy. That's what managers are.
Yeah. And it's hard to build a company too, because like we've got the relationship and the history, and to let stuff off my plate because I know it so well, no matter who it is, no matter how great they are, it's hard for me to do that. To
delegate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, that's how you build a company, and other people have other perspective and ideas that I don't have. So it's actually good to let other people in and bring things to the table.
Yes.
You know, as part of the team. And Nicole, who works with me, is amazing.
Amazing.
And thank God I found her and she came into the company, you know, and she has built such a good relationship with you. Yeah. With any other artist we work with, it's the same thing. Like, they love her and trust her. Yeah. And so that is a huge relief for me too.
I think it's great too when we started we started only texting in a group chat with the three of us. I swear, I feel like something changed when we started doing that. It's like what I say about co-write or three-way rights.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing, because it's not just like, I'm just texting, and like if I'm upset about something or whatever, it's not really at you or her or it's just,
You got to get it out.
I got to get it out.
Yeah.
And who else am I going to talk to about it? Because like you have a tour manager, but they are only dealing with the road. So they have no idea.
Isolated piece of everything.
Yes.
It's important.
Very important,
piece. Yeah.
because that's where you make your money.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my things too, is I so desperately want to make money. I grew up poor, and I think you did too.
Yeah, when I was younger.
Yeah, when you were younger. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like all I care about is making money. I so desperately want to make money to leave my children a legacy, leave them something, and be able to say that this career was worth it. That's why I've been so frustrated with the music industry, like streaming, for instance. If you have a song that gets, somebody just told me that one of their songs got 200,000 streams, and they got a check, or the total money they made was $388.
And that actually seems high to me, believe it or not.
It's crazy.
That's shocking that it was that much.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that when I got signed, the industry was so different. We were actually selling CDs. We were actually making money. Everybody was making more money.
Yeah. It was literally like falling from the trees.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s and 90s and early and 2000s.
Yes.
Not just in Nashville, but the music industry.
Yes.
The CDs really changed that. I mean, it just...
And I never understood, like when Napster came along and all that started, I never understood why the record labels in country music didn't get ahead of it and say, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get anybody but our artists. And I have so many ideas for artists, because seeing it fall in terms of what you can make, people don't understand, like no one's getting rich in the music industry these days.
Yeah, unless you're like Morgan Wallen or Beyonce or Lady Gaga. Or if you're streaming in the billions, you're making money.
That's right.
But yeah,
and you're selling out arenas and stadiums.
Yeah.
But I think they even said in the top, in the top 50% or whatever of those kinds of artists, or in country music, the top earners, it's like 3% are the top. And so going back to, I so badly want to make money. I think that's what frustrates me more than anything, is if I feel like we're all not on that, obsession. And I don't mean it in a bad way. I just want to be able to say doing this career was worth it.
Yeah.
Was worth something.
Well, and I care about that too.
Yeah, of course.
And I know your family so well, and I don't want you to look, I've worked my butt off.
And I want you to be rich too.
30 years plus, and couldn't leave something to my family or didn't have a legacy to leave.
Right.
Like that stresses me out. And that's not my job. Like, I'm not your business manager that's doing the business side of it. That's their job to think about and stress about. But it does stress me out.
Yeah.
And it sits
because
on me.
we're always, or I'm always looking for like, what's the next opportunity? What's the next thing that we can do to bring in more income? And it's just because of the way the music industry is now, the way it's become with streaming. I mean, we basically give our music away, but that's not the manager's responsibility, or You don't even have anything to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of ends up being our responsibility in a way, because you think about how it was before, you know, like there was radio and that's how people would discover new music.
Right.
Or CMT or MTV, but that was pretty much it. And so there were a smaller number of artists that were kind of picked and anointed, put in the labels and pushed out to the world. And so you could easily create superstars. I mean, there had to be talent, of course, should be talent, but it was easier to control that and push it out. And then people would buy the CDs and go to the shows.
Right.
So it was a much more funneled thing. Now with social media, anybody can go online, anybody can upload a song for streaming. So, you know, we're not just competing against like the 15 or 20 other country artists. We're competing against hundreds of country artists.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
brand new ones that have been out for 50, or you're all competing in the same playground.
Right.
And the expectations on an artist are so high now too, because before you would make the music, go promote the album, go on TV shows, go on the road and do what your job was. Now with social media too, you've got to constantly be covering Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, everything.
Right.
And that's on the management too. Like we've got to be, you know, it's like we're spinning 100 plates.
Yes.
And it's hard to get ahead when you're feeding the machine constantly.
Right.
And before, you'd be able to put an album out, have several singles off of it, and tour for a year or two on that one album. Now the way streaming works, you've got to constantly be feeding that machine to stay relevant, because there's so much noise.
Right.
And, you know, the goal now is to get on playlists on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, Amazon Music. And that's where you get discovered, is on these playlists like Hot Country. And so if you're not on there, you know, you just have your own fan base that you're reaching out to, but we have to hit a wider reach. So you're constantly trying to get on the playlist, still get press coverage. I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So you have all these people that are like, for instance, at Belmont in Nashville, and they're doing the music business degree. Is it a degree?
Yeah. Yeah. Which Nicole went to Belmont and did the music business degree.
Yes. So. Yeah. Her name's Nicole Lewis. And I want you to talk in a minute about how you found her, but what advice would you give to people? Like, do you think the music industry is a good industry to go into still these days?
Good question. It's tougher than it ever is. And like, I'm thankful that we work together and you have an established career and you're able to tour and bring money in, you know,
fan base.
If I was just starting out with brand new artists with nothing going on at the ground level, I'm not sure I would want to do it. Right. You know, because I do it because I love it on that side, but you're not making any money as a manager and the artist for a long time. Right. Unless something takes off. Right. And then you can start making money, but it's still a slow build. So, you know, I hate saying that to somebody, because
I hate saying it too, but I think it's important to talk about.
Yeah. And, you know, I've mentored some young managers too with different programs, and I feel guilty. I know you get the same question a lot from other artists. You know, what should I be doing? What advice do you have? And you're kind of like,
my own children.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you don't know what to say, and you don't want to pop their balloon and be discouraging. But I mean, honestly, like, I still do it because I love it. And I do start working with new artists because I love it, and I want them to succeed, and I want to help them and use my connections and knowledge to try to let them fulfill their dream too. And same thing with you. Like, you've done so much and had number ones and millions of albums and, you know, Grand Ole Opry member. But like, my question for you too is like, what more do you want to do? You know, like, what are your continued dreams other than making money?
I mean, if I could just snap my fingers and say, this, you know, this is what I want to happen, that would be continuing to have hits on country radio. Yeah. Because I know, I mean, I say this all the time, it still is the way to become Morgan Wallen. Yeah. It's the way I became Sara Evans. So you can talk about streaming all you want and, you know, like, well, your song, da-da-da, but there's no money from that. So my dream would be for there to be some sort of protection my first dream would be I would be back on country radio with new music. Because as you know, I sing as good as I ever did, if not better. I'm a better performer than I've ever been.
You look amazing.
Thank you. They let some people keep on going in it, but they don't let other people keep on going. Like George Strait, they'll never stop.
The first thing with country radio, especially, and pop radio, is it's sexist.
Yes.
That's the number one thing. And it infuriates me more than anything, not anything in the world, but it's one of the top things in the world.
Right. Anything in your career.
Yeah. And there's so many amazing female artists, that came out a similar time to you that they just said, nope, you've hit your point. We're done with you.
Right.
But then again, and no fault of their own, but Kenny Chesney or George Strait or Tim McGraw,
right,
they just keep trucking along.
No matter what.
And, like a lot of your female counterparts, you put out amazing music. And I've seen a lot of your counterparts just kind of stop.
Yeah.
Because they're like, why? You're like beating your head
would
against a wall.
Never. Like, I am very grateful for where I am in my career and what I've achieved, and that I can still be on a bus touring. I would never go out in a van.
Yeah.
At this point.
No.
There's no way. There's no way I would go backwards and do that.
No.
Thank God, I am at a level where I'm.
And it's strong. Like the touring side. Yeah. There's a demand for you. Fans love you.
Yes. Yes. So I'm so grateful for that. So, but if I could just, have like 3 wishes from the genie bottle, one would be that country radio would still play my new music, and then I would still be having hits at country radio. And then I guess another one, you said, what do you still want? I think that I just want it to be the way it was, but but with new music, because there's still new music in me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just put out an album in June. It's called Unbroke. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, but I think it would be to get to the point where I can say, I feel financially confident that, but it just, I don't know. It's just like the rug has been pulled out from under the music industry.
Yeah.
I don't know is it that way in pop as well?
Because think about there's a select few of female pop artists that don't get bunched into that. Like Pink is a really good example, but like Madonna, she still has put out some really good albums in the last few years. They won't play them.
Right.
Like globally, yes. Like international, you don't have that. It's America. It's an American thing.
Right.
Where it's like, if you're over this age or you're a woman, you're just kind of pushed aside. And it pisses me off because there's a lot of amazing talent.
It's
out
crazy.
There. Yeah.
And then you also think about I know that I was born to do this. I know that I was born with the singing talent to do this. And it would be so sad if I had to choose a different career or a different path just because there's no money in it.
Yeah.
That's what I want people to understand. There's no money in it. And that's not a complaint. It's just you can't do it. Yeah. If there's no money.
You're working really hard to maintain. It's hard to build and grow.
Right.
And that's hard.
Right.
And, and this is not a knock on Brenner, your manager, but I sometimes God, Brenner had it so easy.
Yeah.
And not that she worked her butt off. I know she did. She was a good manager.
I had it easier too.
But that was when that system, it was a system and it was a machine. And, you took a great artist with a great talent and a great song and you put it in the machine, and there's still a lot of work to keep the machine going.
Right.
But it yielded results.
Right.
Now that doesn't happen as much. It's very hard to just take great talent, a great song, and we know with the right conditions and the right work, it's going to be successful.
Right.
That's not necessarily the case.
These amazing, singer-songwriters, artists, everybody does that. I'm releasing a song. That doesn't mean shit. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
So then they have to. So do they have to give up their dream of music?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Avery's music is so great.
Yeah.
I want the world to hear it. Olivia's music is so great. I want the world to hear it.
Yeah.
But it's so hard, and it stinks because TikTok has become, I love TikTok as just a user.
Right.
But it's become, it's shifting a little bit, but labels were hiring people and their whole job was to go on TikTok and find talent and sign talent that went viral on TikTok.
Right.
Which is smart, but then you're signing these artists that had, 15 million views of one song.
One song.
They've never set foot on a stage in their life. They've never written a song. It's
not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And, you can produce stuff in your bedroom now so they can use auto-tune and make themselves sound great.
Right.
And if they look good, put some filters on there.
Yeah.
But labels are like, oh, we're going to take this and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So far, there have been a couple people, more on the pop side, I think, that it's worked for. But on the country side, I don't want to say names to be offensive to people. There's a couple people that have been signed with like stupid deals where they made millions and millions of like $20 million advance for one artist. And they can't follow it up. The labels threw money and there's no follow-up singles that do anything. So I think labels are finally going, okay, maybe we put all our eggs in and when TikTok was potentially going to go away too, it was kind of like, oh, our whole business strategy is out the window. We got to
think of something else.
So both of they've kind of come back around. So I'm hoping that there's a shift a little bit back to true A&R of finding great artists that have put in the work, can perform live, can sing live, are great writers, just true all around talents.
Yes.
And then how do we figure out putting them back into the new machine, whatever that is,
right?
Getting the music out there, not just relying on this. The other thing too, with the playlisting, you can get your song on a big playlist on, let's say, Spotify or Amazon, and it's got millions of followers. So of course that's going to elevate the streams of your song. But then with some of these artists too, they get these big placements because the label hyped them up, but then nothing else happens. Like the fans aren't following them on Spotify. They're not adding the song to their playlist, not liking it. So you're seeing in like inflated numbers that aren't real.
Right.
It doesn't always correspond. So can you follow up? Like in Morgan Wallen did, he released great songs that fans loved. And there are a lot of others that have started to come out where fans are like resonating with it and latching onto the artist, not just the song.
Yeah, because it has to translate into ticket sales, album sales. That's not even a thing anymore. I mean, is it? How do you?
Not really. I mean, there still is album like equivalent numbers. So like so many streams equals one album sold, and then albums actually sold still count too.
If you were an actor, and because music is the only thing that you can truly fake being great. For instance, I do not tune my vocals. I don't tune them live. I don't tune them in the studio. I comp them.
Yeah, everybody
comps them. Find the best one. But I'm not like, I sang the song. I'm going to go home. You guys make it perfect.
Yeah.
No, never. That's just my pride. I'm also very prideful when it comes to music and this career and all that. Acting, though, you would never be able to get away with that in acting because people can see right through you like that person sucks. Yeah. They are a horrible actor.
You can't auto-tune a performance.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to actually be great. But in the music industry, you don't. You can fake it.
You can tune in the studio. You tune live. A lot of people
are tuning their vocals live.
Which drives me crazy.
Yeah, so it's all like a pretend, and I hate to be so negative about it because I'm one of the lucky ones, who got in before all this bullshit happened. But what's been your biggest, like, I don't know, shocker or thing that you didn't think would happen? Because did you want to be a manager, or did it just kind of evolve into that? I know you wanted to be in the music industry.
Yeah. When I first got involved, I don't think I knew enough about the music industry to know what I wanted to do. And then as I got involved, I learned what a manager did and saw, like to your point earlier, that the manager touches everything.
Right.
Which I love that because I need to be challenged all the time and I can't be bored with stuff. I think I have ADD or ADHD.
Yeah. No, you can you can handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I need that.
Yeah.
Like, and if it was just in publishing or just at a label, I think I would get bored. Really
Right.
fast. So management quickly became kind of my ultimate goal. And so
Right.
everything I was kind of trying to do was to get
So do you like chaos?
I like bringing order to chaos. I don't like chaos itself.
Yeah.
Which is weird because we deal with a lot of chaos.
But you're bringing order to it.
Yeah.
So that has to be satisfying.
Which the biggest thing that I hate is, like, earlier we're talking about if you have everything planned and it's perfectly lined up and the bowling ball comes and knocks it down.
Yeah.
That's like, oh, it's so frustrating. Or
Right.
if you do all the work, like for a release, an album that's amazing, and we do all the things with what we can do, and it doesn't perform, that is so frustrating too. Because I know it is for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, this is so good, and it, you know,
Right.
we've all worked so hard to get it out there.
Yes.
That's what's so frustrating
yes.
as a manager.
Because it's like, how are we going to get people to hear this?
Yeah. And I know everything that went into it, of the songwriting and the hours and the days that you spent writing or picking songs, and in the studio and the musicians, and then, you know, the mixing and the master and the artwork and the photo shoot. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of work that goes into that CD or that song that you see on your streaming service.
Right.
And so if you're like, we did all this and it's not getting its rightful place in the world,
Right.
you know, that's what kills me.
And just because you're not on a record label, then you can't go to country radio. So yeah, I can see.
You can, but
What?
it's crazy expensive, which the
Cra-
labels
yeah.
have the money to fund it.
Right.
I don't want to get off too much on a tangent here, but the labels before used to do development of artists too. Like they would sign an artist and work with them and refine things over several albums to make sure it worked.
Right.
Now it's very quick. It's like, we may sign you. If stuff doesn't work on streaming, we're not going to take you to radio because we're not going to waste that money. And so they'll drop artists maybe after, sometimes they don't even get to do an album. It'll be a couple singles and maybe an EP. And if it doesn't take off on streaming, it's like, all right, well, on to the next.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so many great, talented people
Right.
in this town and in this world that a lot of times don't get that chance. Like even with you, like your first album was so critically acclaimed, but it didn't, you know, scratch the itch of country radio at that
Right.
moment. Had RCA not said, we believe in you.
Yes.
We are going to stick with you and, you know, help you evolve or let you figure out your sound.
Yes.
Like we wouldn't be sitting here today probably if they said, well, 3 Chords and the Truth didn't work. Sorry.
Go back
Yeah.
to Missouri.
Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows what would be happening?
There
right
would have
now.
never been a Sara Evans. And yeah, Joe Galante called me and he goes, we got to go a little bit more mainstream. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, because I was so competitive and prideful. And it killed me when 3 Chords and the Truth
Yeah. It's so good.
didn't, but yeah. Yeah, I think I wish it was just more about the music. I wish it was about the music.
Yeah.
More so than money, because the money's going to come. If they make it about the music, it's just like the movie industry. If they started putting out great movies again, the money will be there.
Yeah. I agree.
Because everybody will go.
Yeah. Movies stink right now.
They stink.
And they're just carbon copies of each other. And I feel like that the music business right now is that way too.
Yeah.
Stuff just all sounds the same.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation last night with a friend of mine that works at CMA, Country Music Association, talking exactly about this, like songs in the 90s and the 2000s. I'm like, were they really better, or do I think they're better because that's when I was like, you know, young and consuming music? Do I have an attachment to them, or were they actually better? And I think it's a little bit of both, but I truly think they were better.
I do too.
And we were talking about how like the Dixie Chicks and you and so many artists, you can hear one note of those songs and know who it is, even without
Right.
them singing, just because the instrumentation was unique and
Yes.
different. And now it's so formulaic.
Same in the rock world. I mean,
Yeah.
think about all I got my first real 6-string. But
Yeah.
everybody knows it. I mean, those are things that are a part of our lives, and we all shared it. And
Yeah.
now, like you said, there's just too much noise.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that'll ever go backwards.
I know. So how do we figure out what that new machine and model is? Like I'm always trying to think about, our
Yeah.
whole team is, we're all just like, what if we try this? What about this?
I think
What
it
if-
comes to the record labels.
Yeah.
Really, the record labels all agreeing, we've got to get back to the music. We've got to get back to developing artists.
Yeah.
We've got to get back to real.
And when they see that they invest in real artists that are talented and real musicians, and pay the money to put them on radio and do all that it does resonate again, that's when that shift will happen.
Yeah.
Back.
Absolutely.
My hope, at least.
So I guess just so that I'm not the Wizard of Oz in this podcast.
I like it.
I'm Erin.
Yeah.
I'm producing the show today, and we're going to do some fun questions for the two of you since you have such a long history. So let's start with, this one's for Craig. What's a ridiculous tour rider request that Sara has made, or that Sara has made that absolutely shocked you, or at this point maybe doesn't shock you?
Her rider is actually very normal.
I will tell you this. If there's ever been a ridiculous request, I didn't make it.
True.
Somebody in the crew made it.
A band or crew. I will say, you joke about this a lot, about how if I ask my tour manager to put a brown spotted cow in front of the bus, they'll do it. I was like, well, maybe we won't do that, but like there are limits.
Yeah, there are limits.
You know, which is funny because like obviously I sit behind the screen when you tape these podcasts all the time and have these conversations, and I'm always like, but maybe that's not like, you know, I'm like.
But the point is, if I wanted to be that diva,
you could.
I could.
And there are artists that do that.
And they would have to. They would be like, I got to go find a cow that Sara can look at all day.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially if you were like, who's the biggest star in the world, Beyonce or whatever,
Post Malone.
Post Malone. Yeah. You know, they'll
do it. They'll fly it in on his private jet.
Right.
Yeah.
They would do that. That's my point, is like, if you wanted to, you could be that kind of an artist.
Yeah.
But
you just want to know they're committed.
I agree with you. I don't put it, and for the fans, a rider is the list of things that you ask for from the promoter.
Yeah. Yep. The venue, the promoter.
Yeah, for each show. So it basically consists of, it's just like water, maybe some wine.
Granola bars, you know, like it's simple stuff. Lunch meat, you know.
Some lunch meat, some red grapes. I think we've got like crackers.
Yours is simple. Some people is like, I want a baby pool full of only brown M&Ms.
Well,
like, I mean, they're crazy.
And you know why? Some of like the brown M&M story.
Why?
Like, so the reason why certain people started asking for weird things is to see if the promoter was paying attention and actually looking at the rider, because a lot of times you'd get there and it wasn't right. And so they'd kind of quiz them and go through the right. Did you see you know, you get there and there weren't the brown M&Ms. You're like, then they're not doing the other things.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So that's kind of why that started. But everyone thought they're just being crazy and pull out all the other colors.
Yes. And it also helps a little bit with financially on the road, especially with newer artists. Like, can you provide us with a bottle of whiskey at every venue, at every show, so that we can have a little fun after the shows, you know? So it's just kind of a way of saying, make us, it's like putting a chocolate on the bed in a hotel room.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's customary in the business to do that.
It is. Yeah.
You know, just like they're expected to have catering for you and they're for the band and crew when they're there setting up all day and doing sound check. You know, it's just kind of part of the industry and the deal.
It's how I give the band per diem. It's customary because if they're out away from home, they have to have some spending money to get food.
Which is ironic because there's always catering too.
Always.
So in bus stock, but that's another story.
Always bus stock. Always
love you, band and crew.
We love you. We love you.
In one sentence, what's the most embarrassing thing you've seen the other one do?
I don't think I've ever seen Craig Dunn do anything embarrassing.
This is
probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen you do is maybe jump in the pool after your wedding with your suit. Didn't you have your suit on?
Yeah, swimsuit.
With your suit on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've never seen Craig Dunn do anything embarrassing.
Can I tell you something embarrassing that I did?
Yes.
That I don't know if I've told this before. So you remember that show we did and we had the day off in like Wisconsin and you got a boat and we all went on the lake.
Yes.
And we had too many adult beverages the night before.
Oh, yes.
The next day we were playing a festival and I was selling merch and it was like 105 degrees and I was so hungover and miserable and had to set up merch, and then I was like going to be sick and throw up. And so somebody be like, can I get a medium of that shirt? I'd be like, hold on, I think it's in the trailer. And I would go between the trailer and the bus and just throw up and then come back and like, oh, it was actually here the whole time. I'm so sorry. Like, that was the only time.
I take it back. I saw you throw up on the kiddie train.
Yes.
At Disneyland. Duh. That's the most embarrassing thing. We talked about that on the other episode. But yeah, so both of those had to do with being hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a bad influence on the road.
I know, I really was. And then I was never hungover. I was like, good to go.
I know, you're like, another day. Because you could sleep in too, and I couldn't. I had to get up and load in. Yeah.
Yeah. I was sleeping till 1.
If you both swapped roles for a week, Sarah's the manager and Craig's the talent, what would happen?
Oh, it would all fall apart. Or I would, I think the main thing that would happen is that we would be able to see what each other's perspectives, and we would probably have more respect for each other, because I would
empathy.
be like, his job is hard, and you would be like, her job's hard. And that's probably what would happen.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Totally.
Yeah.
And part of me would love actually getting on stage.
Yeah.
And singing and performing. Like, that would be so fun.
And then I would take a whole day and just field calls.
Yeah. And emails.
And complaints and emails.
You're always on the phone like me, just constantly.
I would go insane.
Yeah.
I would go insane. But see, that's why he's a manager and I'm an art with 2 different brains.
Music, business.
Right.
You have to work together.
What's the most ridiculous rumor that's ever been, that either of you have ever heard about Sarah?
Ooh. Most ridiculous rumor.
Y'all can go funny, like funny, ridiculous.
See, it's weird. In some ways I'm boring because I'm normal. You know what I mean? Like, I guess
You're definitely not boring.
There are rumors that you're a diva. And you're really hard to work with. But
Why?
I think it's because you're so sarcastic. And you're so dry sometimes, and people don't know that you're kidding.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first time I ever talked to you was on the phone. I was calling your house to talk to your husband at the time, and you answered, and I made a joke, and you said something that was really dry and sarcastic back, and I was like, oh God, I've pissed her off. I've offended her. You know,
and I'm always kidding.
Yeah. So I think that's a rumor, a misperception about you.
I really want people to know that I'm not a diva at all. I mean, at all. I just I expect, people that I'm paying to work hard, do their jobs well, But it is, I think, mostly because I'm such a smart ass.
Yeah.
And, or it also, I swear this happens a lot. It could always be someone acting on my behalf and lying and saying, Sarah won't do that.
Yeah.
Sarah won't do that. Sarah hates that, or Sarah's mad.
And that it doesn't happen now with management, obviously, but it happened not in the Brenner time, a different manager.
Yeah.
That type of stuff was happening.
Really?
Yeah.
And see, the artist doesn't know anything about it. And people are like, well, then, so yeah, it goes back to what we said. You have to be a manager who stands up for the artist, but also doesn't make the artist look bad.
Yeah. And it's easy for managers to blame the artist.
Right.
Well, she doesn't want to do that, or she won't do it. Even if that's true, you don't say that.
You don't say that.
There's a way to nuance it. And,
yeah. Like, that's not the best thing for her, or I'm not going to let her do it, whatever. Yeah. I mean, also, I think women get that rumored about them a lot, is that they're divas, when really we're not. We're,
If a man acted the same way that you acted in this business, they would be like, well, he knows what he wants. He's confident. He's, holding people accountable.
Right.
But it's like, well, she's a diva, or she's difficult.
Yeah. And a lot of times something else could be bothering the artist.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do. And I think when people assume you're a diva, usually they're the self-centered one. Because they're like, she didn't treat me the way that I wanted her to treat me. And it could have been like, my dress just ripped and I'm freaking out and someone wants to come say hi. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? But I'm in a hurry. They go away.
Well, the biggest thing is right before you go on, you have your in-ears in and you can't hear anything.
I can't hear people.
And that's always when people come up to talk to you.
Yeah.
And if I'm there, I'm like, oh, she can't hear you. She's got her ears in because they think you're just being rude and ignoring them. I'm like, she truly can't hear you.
Yeah. And I would say to fans too, don't try to talk to any artist right before stage.
Yeah.
Even if they don't have their ears in, because we are focused.
And venue people too.
Yes. And venue people.
They're just trying to be sweet and play. I get it. And they're excited to see you, so they'll be like, have a good show, or thanks for coming to our town, and you literally can't hear anything. So then they think that you're just being rude, and you're not.
But then after the show, I am so just like, hey.
Yeah.
But right before the show, no, I am focused because I want to do the best show for their venue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hate that because it's like you try so hard to prove that you're sweet and that you're kind and then one person can get the wrong idea. For instance, I fire ear monitor techs all the time because so many of them suck. I have one now that is the best I've ever had.
He's great.
And ear monitor tech is probably in the top 3 most important jobs for an artist, because if you don't have great ear monitor tech, you lose your voice because you're over singing, and
if you can't hear,
right,
yeah,
you hate doing the shows because the sound is terrible. And I know that I have a reputation of firing ear monitor techs.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
But too bad.
But when you find something
great.
good, you've had a few that have been good throughout the years, and when you get them, you stick with them a long time. You know, like Bob, who did it for years, was great, and then he just decided he didn't want to tour anymore.
That's right.
So
he didn't leave.
He works at the Opry now, but he didn't leave because you fired him.
That's right.
He quit.
Actually, anybody in my group that's great, I will keep forever as long as they want to stay with me. Mm-hmm. But if you mess up on stage, that's almost an immediate fire, because I expect the band to be perfect. At this level, your band should be perfect.
Yeah.
Or, a lot of times what will happen is you'll get out on tour, and tour managers like to form little groups. Mm-hmm. One bad apple on the road can ruin the bunch.
Poison.
As soon as that happens, we usually go ahead and get rid of that person, because you got to live together.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to be cool.
And that's the type of stuff as a manager I hate. I don't mind dealing with it because it's my job. Mm-hmm. I just hate dealing with it because it's stupid and unnecessary, and it's a waste of time.
Right.
I'm like, just do your job.
Right.
I don't want to deal with this. I want to be trying to make her more money and getting big shows and TV looks. I want to be doing that. I don't want to be dealing with this personnel bullshit.
Right. Absolutely.
I'll do it because I have to, but I don't want to.
Yeah. I think we have the best band and crew setup that we've had, in a long time. Maybe ever now. But I definitely have the best ear monitor tech that I've ever had.
Shout out Howard.
Yeah, Howard Bennett. Howard Bennett is the best.
What is, who's the most famous person in your phones? One word answer.
Dennis Quaid.
Gosh. I don't know. I'd have to go through and look.
Yeah.
Sarah's like,
yeah.
Well,
right.
duh. She's been in there for a long time.
I know. That's not what I meant. Anyway.
Can I answer not that question exactly, but like some cool famous people that we've met throughout the years because of things that you've done TV
Paula
appearances?
Abdul.
Yes. Will Smith.
There
was the time that I have a picture of you making out with Will Smith.
Yes.
What?
Will Smith and I made out.
What?
There was a time that Will Smith and I made out backstage, and he threw his hand up so nobody would see us. No paparazzi,
but I got the shot.
No, but you got the shot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll throw it up.
That's going to be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, there have been so many cool people like on TV shows. Whoopi Goldberg was really cool.
She was.
On The View. And
she I think is from Alabama.
Okay.
And she was an Alabama fan. So I remember her specifically. She goes, I want to talk to your husband, not you. Or maybe we were just dating at the time. And I was like,
oh. And you're like, oh.
But yeah, who else?
Well, really quick with Whoopi, I remember I love her just because watch her movies as a kid and just thought she was so funny.
Jumpin' Jack Flash.
I love Jumpin' Jack Flash and Sister Act 1 and 2. And so Barbara Walters had just left The View the week before you did it that time. And we were talking to Whoopi, and I said something about Barbara, oh yeah, she's an icon. And Whoopi is, yeah, she's an icon. Let me tell you this, never marry an icon. And then she turned around and walked away. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but okay, never marry an icon. Like,
that is hilarious. See, I would have never remembered even being on The View because I just can't remember all the things we've done.
So many shows.
Who else?
Like John Goodman. We met the cast of The Connors when you did.
That's right.
One of those shows. And
Laurie Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Yep.
That was cool.
We've met everybody.
It's been
we've met a lot of famous people.
Yeah.
We met Full House guy.
Oh, John Stamos?
No, the dad.
Oh, yeah, Bob Saget.
Just months before he passed.
Yep.
That was
And, like,
really
Vince Vaughn
sad.
came to your show.
Vince Vaughn came to my show.
Front row.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many.
Yeah, but I would say that probably the most famous person in my phone, if I'm not mistaken, would probably be Dennis Quaid.
Yeah,
I would
and he's
think.
in mine.
Yeah, just
Of that
overall.
age group.
I had a lot of country artists in my phone
yeah.
just throughout the years of having to work together.
Same. I have
things.
every country. Reba McEntire. I have her number.
That's pretty famous.
That's very famous.
Yeah.
If someone made a movie about Sarah's life, who should play her? You each get an answer.
This is hard.
Depends on which age.
Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, or what's her name? The one that I always thought looked like you. She's British.
Trying to look it up.
Yeah.
And then I guess maybe the younger me. I don't know. I don't know any actors right now.
I know.
Yeah, that's a hard one. But I would
Okay.
say Catherine Zeta-Jones to play the current me right now.
And the question is, can they sing? Like, do they sing?
That's right,
Like
and she
Timothy Chalamet
Yes.
just sang in the Dylan biopic.
Yes.
And
Catherine Zeta, I believe, can sing because she was in Chicago.
oh, yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's one thing that instantly annoys Sarah?
Oh, yeah, you should know this.
I know. I'm just trying to think of which one to say.
It's a phrase.
Oh, still. She hates the word still.
Yeah, I hate the word still. I hate lack of communication.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, she hates not knowing what's going on. And that's like we talked about earlier. It's
Right, the
hard
balance.
to find the balance of how much to tell you, how much not to tell you. But yeah. She communication.
Yeah,
And Nicole
communicate.
said bad grammar as well.
Oh, it doesn't annoy me. I just think it's funny when people use bad grammar.
Hey, Sarah, if you got to make a pop album, who would you collab with?
John Mayer.
Who's more dramatic?
Sarah.
Craig Dunn is dramatic too. Yeah. But in different ways because as we've said, our jobs are so different.
Yeah.
So the things that upset me don't upset you, but things that upset you don't upset me because we don't know what, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's doing one aspect, I'm doing the other aspect. So yeah, but again, I'm only dramatic about certain things. But then other things, like I would dare say I'm one of the most kind of boring, artists, like in the sense that I don't do weird things. I don't you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do I explain it?
Yeah. Some artists are very eccentric and
Yeah.
quirky and kooky.
Right.
That
would drive
it's
you
part of their art.
crazy.
Yeah. Like you respond to texts.
Yes.
You show up on time.
Right. Yes, I'm responsible.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Which I will leave here. I will leave this podcast going. That hurts my feelings so bad that I have the reputation of being a diva.
And not everybody.
No.
But yeah.
But I mean, that's the one thing I'll take away.
Yeah. Which I know you so well, so that I sometimes don't say things or tell you things because I know it's going to hurt your feelings.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
don't want to tell you things sometimes, but I'm like, I got to tell her this.
Right,
She's
right,
got to
right.
know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been mistaken as a couple?
We'll see. We don't know
yeah.
because we could have before because we're always together.
Yeah.
We used to be together a lot more so, I guess, when you were doing more like social media stuff for me.
Yeah.
Because you were filming me a lot, on the road with me,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone. I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, again,
Obviously not Will Smith.
who knows?
Nah,
Not
no.
Will Smith. No.
Damn it, Will Smith.
Yeah.
This is for Craig, but it's about Sarah. Craig, if you had to get a tattoo of one of Sarah's lyrics on you, what would it be?
Born to Fly.
Yeah.
That was the song, honestly, when I heard that song, I didn't know her yet. And that it was like, holy crap, this song is, I've told you this, but like this song is amazing. Like it spoke to me of like wanting to do more and get out. And it was this cool blend of country and bluegrass and pop and it just, and the vocal, everything is so freaking cool. So yeah, that'd be the song.
It's a song, one of the songs in your life that made you realize like, I'm a true music lover.
Yeah.
And my calling is to go there.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
And that was the one where I saw the music video and it was like this weird God flash. It was like an idea in my head. It was like, you're going to work with her.
Yes.
I'm like, what?
Crazy.
It's weird. I'm like, I didn't know
chills.
you at all. You know, I had no connection to you at
Yeah.
that point. And then like my dad got involved. All that is on the other episode, but
I have chills.
yeah, it was weird. So that song like especially has a special place.
Yeah. Do you have any tattoos? No.
I'm not against it. But.
I should get Born to Fly tattooed
Right?
as well.
Some of your fans have it tattooed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Duh.
Maybe we all should.
Yeah.